What's up, YouTube? We decided to get a boat. No, just kidding. We got a 2022 BMW K1600. This is the new remodeled version, and I've got a GTL here today. And I'll be doing a review on this thing before and after. This thing has some really cool lighting features. I'll go over some of the new stuff that goes into this model. And first thing I wanted to do here though was the cold start video. Now this is what we're getting some complaints on with the cold start. So let's see how it reacts here. This is cold overnight. I have not started it today whatsoever yet. Let's see what it does. It's not so bad. It is a high idle. Some of these things have the popping out of the intake, which is it being really lean. And some of them actually stall as well. This one actually seems to be behaving very well, and really what I translate that to is atmospheric conditions. It goes really lean here depending on how hot it is outside. Right now I got a 75-degree day here in San Diego, and it's actually not too bad. So this actually sounds decent right now. The idle will lower down. You can see it kind of going down now, scaling down. The reason why the high idle here is because we have new regulations, Euro 5 stuff, and the cat itself needs to heat up. So the faster we can heat it up, the better. So that's why they shoot the idle high, make it lean. That's the reason why we get the O2s warm, which are the new widebands for this model, which I'll go over later as well. And we also have the catalytic converter that needs to warm up. As soon as all that stuff warms up, the bike becomes more clean. So they want to do it as fast as possible. All right, let's get to riding here. All right, and I'm here on BMW's touring bike, the K1600 GTL. This is new for 2022. I mean, not the K1600 in general, but the this model refresh, which boasts some pretty cool new features and some different engine stuff. I mean, this thing has lighting that's pretty crazy. I mean, literally, you ignition on, ignition off, or key on, key off. There's some lighting that kind of lights the way for you around, and you can also there's some light that goes underneath the whole bike. It's like a valet light that kind of just lets you know where the bike's at. It's pretty cool. As far as the engine goes, it's making, I think, peak horsepower 1000 RPM earlier than its predecessor, over 130 horsepower for this 6-cylinder. And it also has some other revised stuff like this over 10-inch TFT, LED headlights that are literally directional, so it will follow the steering and also go up and down a couple degrees. So it goes like 35 degrees left and right while you're turning and sweeping, and if you're braking and accelerating, it'll actually move up and down to compensate for the braking and accelerating. So pretty awesome features on this bike, and it's super comfy to ride. This is like riding a giant lazy boy with electronics. It also has a built-in sound system. I'm using the speakers right now.
I appreciate you spending it with me here at
You can hear stuff.
XM Turbo. Literally my favorite station on Sirius XM, and I'm sure you're in the same.
Has Sirius XM, of course. And the sound is okay on it. I mean, we can't really tune this, but I'm just kind of letting you guys know the speakers I think should be a little bit better. After about 60 miles per hour, they become, I don't know, it's hard to hear them. Like, let me move this thing up, we can't hear anything. I mean, like, this is the best it's gonna get. So you can't really hear much from the speakers after about 60 miles an hour, but stop and go traffic and just cruising around, I'm sure it's a lot of fun. And I mean, this thing is just insanely comfy. I mean, like I said, this visor goes up and down. I mean, this is not a new feature. I just think it's cool. I mean, check that out. So it goes down, now we're in race mode. And we can raise it back up again. Of course, this takes the wind off the rider completely. So if you want wind in your face, you can put it down. If you're going at higher speeds, obviously you want it up. When you put it up though, the arrow pushes the wind over and pulls you from the back actually. So I'm actually pushing away from the handlebars after, I'd say about 80 miles per hour. You start to feel it kind of like noticeably kind of pushing you towards the bike, not away from the bike like you're normally used to on other bikes that have the wind hitting you, of course. So overall, pretty good package. Let's go over some of the things that people are complaining about. I mean, obviously this thing has a 6-cylinder, should have some pretty decent power. I mean, the thing weighs a lot. It's a lot, it weighs a lot. The quick shifter is very decent. I downshift like that, even down in a second. There's no noticeable difference in the change of weight. Upshifting, extremely smooth. There's sometimes it does clunk a little bit, nothing crazy though, but it does clunk a little bit here and there. But nothing too bad. I can't really complain about it. It has seat heaters and all kinds of other creature comforts I'll probably never use. The heated grips are really nice on BMWs. I gotta say that. It's kind of like their thing. Even my M1000RR has heated grips, which is awesome. Love heated grips. You just never know you need them until you need them. It's like kind of like a condom. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You know what I mean? So we're just going through here. I'm gonna get over some turns, kind of give you guys some impressions on how it feels up top. Right now, just cruising around, it does feel like it has enough power. Some of the complaints are that it down low, it is missing power. If you could really lay into it, it feels okay. Nothing crazy, but the throttle response is really lazy. Getting off the line, for example, just like in first gear, trying to clutch it, I've killed it like a few times. I could just take off at a normal throttle and install it. So you've got to really rev this thing a little bit, not like a regular bike. You got to rev it a little bit more, or this thing just falls on its face. So we'll try and fix that. Another big complaint is the top speed limiter, which, I mean, I've ran this bike past 130, no restrictions on this exact one. Now, of course, our Flash does take off the top speed restriction, but unfortunately, I can't show you that on this bike before and after. I'll just show you how it runs out, basically. But if I can get my hands on one that was limited, I'll be able to show you before and after with the speed limiter removed. So we'll do everything else except that, because I can't show you a restriction on a bike that doesn't have that restriction specifically. So like I said, getting to some turns here, and once I do, I'll give you top end impressions. But so far, this is extremely comfy bike with very few drawbacks. See the braking's very good. I expect kind of like the R18 braking, which is horrid, by the way. Horrid braking in the R18. But this braking is pretty decent. Like, I don't know, it's pretty much feels like a very huge sport bike. So I'll get you some turning impressions here in a second. Alright, found some turns here, so let's go ahead and go through these. I'm not going to go too aggressive. I don't want to scrape this guy's pegs. But we'll just feel kind of like what this bike can do kind of wide open, you know? The throttle's very controlled. You can roll in, off of it. The braking's very good, especially for a tugboat. Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, for what it is, a touring bike, it is definitely fun in a couple turns. Nice and smooth transitions. When you want the gas, it's really like that last, like, I want to say, like, I don't know, it's like the last like 20% of the throttle just really comes to life on this bike. It's like dead, then 20% of the throttle, it's just all of a sudden alive, you know? And this is where I'm gonna scrape the peg here. It's so low for this thing. No, I didn't scrape any peg, good deal. Coming out of the turns, it's nice. Like I said, it has that nice exotic sound to it. Oh yeah, she likes it. Oh, scraped my shoe a little bit. Oh man, this thing's cracking me up. It has a nice sound to it. You can hear it come to life. Great. It's like a lazy boy with a throttle. I like feeling the power at, like I said, it's that very top end of the throttle. It starts having power. And you can roll into it very nicely. Very nice, very predictable power on this bike. Very predictable power. Which is nice. It's not meant to be a race bike, so keep that in mind. This is literally a touring bike. So I'm just kind of getting impressions of how it feels through everything here. Might as well get it all around. Nice and smooth, yeah. Braking's very good on this. I mean, I can't complain about the braking at all. Like, it brakes very well from a pretty good distance. I mean, I'm pretty kind of surprised, especially after feeling the R18 and how bad that was. It was like the back brake was almost better than the front brake on that. And this bike feels good. Downshifting up top does clunk a little bit, but when you're just in the regular RPM range of normal stuff like this, the quick shifter is very nice, very pleasant. I can even downshift. Yeah, see? No upsets there. Like, you definitely feel as the throttle input and RPM increases, the kill times actually get shorter, so the quick shifter actually feels more sporty the more sporty you're behaving with the bike, which is kind of cool too. It's not just static, it's a kind of a dynamic quick shifting feel, which doesn't surprise me with how many tables and stuff this bike has. Also, this bike has a full-time closed loop. I mean, we're talking like this is a wideband based bike for 22, meaning we can smash a lambda target on this thing and it'll nail it every single time. Doesn't matter the atmospheric conditions, nothing. So if you're riding this thing like you're supposed to, meaning different elevations, different cities, different states, different countries even, your bike will always be ready. It'll always be making the best power it possibly can, because it's always adjusting for the air fuel level with our tuning. And we enable that through our tuning, utilizing the factory widebands. BMW has been using the factory wideband system since 2002 on their cars, and they just translate it into the bikes with the K67, K66. I mean, that's the S1000RR, the M1000RR, the XR, the R, this bike, and all of the new bikes that are coming out. They're putting widebands on them now. I mean, even the R18 and everything. So it's great. The technology they're putting these things is amazing, and this screen is awesome. I gotta say, it's the biggest and best in the industry at the moment that I know of. Maybe there's some other ones I don't know about. I don't know. But it's pretty cool from what I've seen, and I love my M1000 one as well, which is the same screen, just smaller. Both TFTs. Now, I'm getting some wind, so I'll put this up. There we go. Now I'm back into cruising mode here. We can get this thing back. So let's see what she did on the 60 through 130 here. All right, we got the 60 through 130 ready to go here. Let me just put this bike into race mode here. There we go. Cow comes down, getting serious. All right, let's get it. Oh, she's a big girl. Alright, so you guys saw it, 10.45 on the 60 through 130. Definitely respectable. That was better than a 660 actually. And of course, it's a 6-cylinder engine, so it should have a little more get up and go, right? Than that little 2-cylinder. But yeah, it's looking good. And like I said, the riding's very good, it's very comfortable. It's definitely missing a lot down low. That's my biggest complaint about this. If it had kind of a more responsive throttle, more power on tap, meaning I don't have to twist the throttle all the way to kind of get some power out of it, I think it'd be a more enjoyable ride. So we'll see what this thing does after the flash here, and I'll give you guys my impressions of before and after with 60 through 130. And I think that's going to do it for now, guys. I'm just going to get this thing back home and get her flashed. So I'll talk to you soon. And I'm back here for the post flash on the 2022 BMW K1600 GTO, and we're gonna see how the cold start does first thing here. So let's get the bike on here. Now again, this is post flash, so I've flashed it now with the Brent Tuning Stage 1. You can see the RPM stays lower, automatically starts up with a low idle, unlike before, which would have had a higher idle, and in some cases with other cars would stall, pop out of the intake due to being so lean. So it actually has a very nice low idle now, and I'll go over why that's important. But let's get on here and let's go for a ride. So we are back on the 2022 BMW K1600. And just to kind of expand on what I was saying before about the cold starting, the higher the motor revs, right when you start it, the more engine wear you're going to have. About 90% of your engine wear is going to be startup and driving the bike around with the engine cold, or the engine oil not up to operating temp. So to have a nice low idle like that, not only is good for your engine, but also your neighbors will probably like you more, especially if you have like a Remus system on your bike or a Kropovich. It's not going to idle that high. It's going to make a very low noise because it's idling very low. Now, of course, it does mean it takes a little bit longer to warm the cat, warm the wide bands, but it's really not that much longer, honestly. You should be warming up your bike before you take a ride in the first place. It'll still ride. It's just it won't be up to operating temp and won't be in full-time closed loop until those sensors warm up, which takes about, I don't know, 20 seconds, nothing crazy, you know? So first impressions here is we've got throttle response is a lot better than it was before. You ask for it, it gives it to you. You don't have to like, you don't want to twist you no longer have sorry here. You no longer have to twist the throttle to 100% to see some action. Now it starts doing the business right out of the gate, and I think a lot of K1600 owners would probably like this throttle. Me, I'm a little more into a little more aggressive throttle, and maybe some K1600 owners would like it more aggressive. And if you do like it more aggressive, we have full control of this ECU, meaning if you emailed us and you said, hey, the throttle response, I thought it would be more than it was, you know. I thought when I saw the video, it looked like it was more. We can add throttle response to it. We just don't want to go too crazy with it because then the bike gets really jerky. So that's going to be up to you as the owner. But when we send you the questionnaire, if you buy this, you're more than welcome to say, hey, I'd like to have a lot of throttleness. Like, go ahead and turn the throttle up, and I want to be able to hit the throttle and the bike just instantly responds. We could do that for you. It's not even a problem. Oh, let's see what we can do here. 0 to 60. I'm actually curious here, but I don't know. Let's see what it does here. Wait for the light. Got some Pantera. There we go. It's not bad at all. It's pretty good. It's like boogies. So definitely, like I said, the top end power, I'm not really noticing a huge difference in the top end power. And I think it's going to translate to the 60 through 130 here. You're not going to see a huge difference. I'm sure there's a little more power in it now because we're doing full-time closed loop, so the fueling is pretty much exact the entire time. There's no guessing there. But I'm not seeing like a huge change up top. Really, the changes are all down low. It's going to be, the noticeable stuff is throttle response, and thank God for this. When you take off from a light now, you no longer have to rev it to like 2,000 RPM in order not to stall the motorcycle. I don't know why it kept doing that stock. It was really annoying. If I take off like I do in every other bike, it would just stall. Just like a really low idle type of thing. So now when I take off at a normal idle, like 1,500, I don't have to give it a whole lot of throttle. I can take off normally, not worry about this bike stalling anymore. I don't know why it kept on doing that, but that has been resolved now. Also, the engine's running a little bit cooler now. The fan's coming on a little bit earlier. We've adjusted the timing, of course. I mean, there's so many table changes to this. It's ridiculous. So right now I'm making my way over to the turns right now, and I can give you my breakdown of how it feels, you know, getting a little more aggressive with the throttle. But as of right now, just riding this thing light to light, I'm definitely noticing, like I said, the takeoff, there's no more stalling. Let me see here. Let me try to go a little lighter. See that? No more stalling anymore. If I did that before, the bike would have stalled. See, that's a normal takeoff right there. Normal shifting. If I want to give it the beans, it comes to life, you know. But just tip-in stuff, it's definitely a little more aggressive. Let's see if it retains the modes, which I know it does, but I just want to show you guys. So put it in rain right now. There, it's in rain. Oh yeah, the modes are retained. This feels like stock now, actually. This feels like the stock dynamic throttle, where it's really smooth. It gives you everything up top, but there's almost like nothing down here, down low. And let me change it back to dynamic. All right, back in dynamic now. Yeah, definitely a lot more aggressive. So now I'm gonna take her over to the turns and give you guys an assessment of what I think there. All right, we're back on the K1600, made it to some turns here. So let's do a little bit of aggressive riding here and see exactly what kind of feedback I get from this bike. So like I said, the tip-in is a little bit more aggressive now than it was before. Top end feels about the same as before. Like, I definitely feel the tip-in better, and there's better throttle response, definitely, which makes this thing a lot more fun. And the brakes are, like I said before, man, I mean, these brakes are actually really great for what it is. There are little bumps here. Oh yeah, tip-in's really nice there. I give feedback. Oh, I've got road work here. Can't really jam it on road work. Alright. Made it out of there. Oh, she turns pretty good too. Pretty balanced. Such a big girl. Tip-in's definitely a lot nicer now. I'm getting more throttle earlier with this bike now, which is great. That's exactly what this thing was lacking. Just all that down low was just trash, basically. Once you got into the throttle, it felt really good, but the problem is twisting the throttle that far every single time you rode. Now it's quarter turn. I'm hearing the engine sounding really good. Definitely a little more fun to ride. And the quick shifter feels like it's a little more refined. Maybe in my head, it's definitely not a night and day difference. So that was fun. Definitely for a big girl like this. It's not really meant to do that kind of thing. It feels great, you know? You can make this thing like a Swiss Army knife, depending on how much you like being aggressive, and this could be a all-around bike. Definitely great for touring. Definitely fun in the turns when you want it to be. You just can't lean too far. You start scraping peg, shoe, everything. So while we're waiting here, I think we'll try the 60 through 130 here real quick, and let's see what it does. All right, it's time for the post-flash 60 through 130, and I also have the 20 through 100 as well here, of course, we'll be doing. So we'll compare all the times. I got ready to go, so let's put the bike into race mode here again. All right, and let's get it. So you guys saw the 60 through 130, definitely improvement over stock with 0.2 of a second. All that power made was up top. You can see it up top. That's pretty good. So I mean, really, let's go over kind of what we've got here with this Flash. We've got cooler running temps, refined quick shifter, which I think is a little bit better. It's definitely a little bit better, but nothing crazy. It's not like night and day or anything like that. Some bikes it's night and day, this one is not. It's a little bit better. The throttle response is definitely better. I would get it just for the throttle response itself. The throttle response is so much better than it was stock. It's ridiculous. I really didn't like the throttle response stock. Made it feel just so lazy. Even though the bike's not lazy, and that last 10% of throttle is where you'd get all the power. It would just kind of lay it on at that last 10%. But now it's a lot more fun, a lot more active to ride. And like I said, if you guys feel the throttle's too aggressive or not aggressive enough, you can contact us through email and let us know, like, hey, I like a more aggressive throttle, less aggressive throttle. We could change that. It's not a big deal there. We have total access to this stuff, so it's not a big deal to go ahead and get that changed for you. We'll probably leave it turned up for you guys just because I like the way this feels. We've also got a raised RPM limiter, 500 RPM. No top speed limiter. Of course, that's not really applied on this bike so much, even though I took it to 145 as you saw. Let's see where the RPM limiter gets to here. Yeah, so it looks like 8.5 or so, or 8.7 or something like that, right around there. It's supposed to be 500 over stock. So the bike's just all around a lot more fun to ride. It's just a lot less lazy, I would say, than it was stock. As far as up top power, not really noticing a huge change. As you saw, 0.2 of a second, nothing crazy there. But the low throttle stuff and everything is much better, and I get it just for that, to be honest with you. That, and a lot of people really complain about that top speed at 105, because I mean, you're in third gear and the bike just hits like the governor at 105 in third gear, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? So that's gone. That's removed on the applicable models. Of course, this model didn't have that because it doesn't have the saddlebags, doesn't have the seats, nothing like that. So something like a bagger, things like that that has the saddlebags on it will have those limiters on it that we will remove with the Flash. So that makes a lot of people happy. Other than that, I think I'm going to wrap up this review. Pretty straightforward. And I'll see you guys on the next bike. Alright, we made it here to Lee's Cycle in San Diego, here to test the 2022 K1600. See what we can do with it, see what we can do as far as power goes. This is already a full-time closed-loop bike, so not expecting huge numbers, but throttle response, extended rev limiter, there should be some noticeable things. All right, and this is getting wrapped up now. So you can see here we got the stock baseline, which falls off hard here, falls off there. That's power and torque. And you can see the line kind of just follows its whole self. I mean, of course, ours pulls a little bit more, there's a few more horsepower there in the mid-range. And then you can see right here is where the big difference is where it pulls over stock past the stock red line right there. And you can see the stock red line falls flat, and you got all this extra RPM you can go through here. A lot of people probably won't care about that because it's a K1600, but the main part here is the throttle response we're getting from this bike. And the throttle response is absolutely next level. So it's a big improvement on the throttle response, a big improvement on the power band here, this last few thousand, or last 1,000 RPM. Really extends everything, really makes this thing a solid, rideable, fun bike. So that'll be it for the dyno testing.